Good morning and welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning. If you're watching us live, thanks for that. If you are watching us elsewhere, we do upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We appreciate you watching or listening there. Tried to combine watching and listening. Can't do that. Today we got a lot of more coronavirus stuff to talk about. We're going to go through your traffic and weather first. Still got some folks heading into hopefully essential jobs or going into work where they can practice appropriate social distancing. We're going to talk about a little bit of clarification today with regard to essential jobs and those businesses that are going to try to stay open. We'll get to that in a second, but you are looking at delays at 4-H Club Road, River Road, and 190 in Denham Springs. You're also looking at delays at Vincent Road and Pete's Highway over there by Carter's and Neighborhood Walmart. You're also looking at delays at at Cuban Road and 190, as well as Eden Church Road and 190. So please keep that in mind if you are heading into work today. It's currently 71 degrees. Going to be alternating between sort of a cloudy day. It's a little dreary out there right now, but small chance of rain, not a big chance, alternating between sun and clouds. 84 degrees is your high, 67 your overnight low. Yesterday we were alerted that as we move into this once-a-day reporting per CDC requirements, we are going to only be getting numbers in and around the noon o'clock hour. You're looking at 1,172 cases in Louisiana, 34 deaths, with 5 cases in Livingston Parish. The virus has now been confirmed in 41 out of 64 parishes. In terms of case number, we are kind of leading the way worldwide. There are still some places with some higher population densities that are growing faster than us, but our case numbers are growing rather rapidly. Right now, you're looking at roughly 1,100, close to 1,200 cases out of about 5,000 total tests. So not too terrible of a number considering, but a lot of that you have to couch against the fact that only people who are showing symptoms or who have, like Sean Payton, who went to the team doctor for the Saints, can afford the test. So you're not really getting a huge, I guess you can say, swath of the population. There are a lot of people who can carry the virus who will never show symptoms or might not show symptoms for another week, another 2 weeks. If they were exposed before the stay-at-home order went into effect yesterday at 5 p.m., they may not show symptoms for another 2 weeks. So that's how this thing spreads. It spreads very rapidly. It spreads exponentially. And of course, it spreads, via not practicing social distancing. Please remember that social distancing is 6 feet. When you are in a public place, they're now urging that you wear gloves and things like that. Of course, at home, you're looking at gatherings of 10 or less, disinfecting common surfaces, washing your hands for 20 seconds or more with soap and water. You're also looking at there's one more. There it is. Coughing and sneezing into your elbow or a tissue. Please do not open, cough, and sneeze. So remember those mitigation efforts. They are important. Now, of course, we talked about the stay-at-home order that was issued Sunday evening by Governor John Bel Edwards. The governor said that he is asking people that can stay home, please stay home. He's asking businesses that can set their folks up to work from home to do that as well. Asking people, to try to stay away from others. If you do go into public, please try to practice social distancing. 6 feet from the nearest person, stay away from them. This is, last night, and we'll get into this in a second, but the governor had a show on LPB, and one of the things that they discussed was that staying away from others, it kind of showed love, right? That's kind of the idea. You're trying to keep your distance. You don't want to get it from them. They don't want to give it to you, or vice versa. So please keep that in mind. Please keep social distancing in the top of your head. But the whole idea of who goes to work, we have a list of essentials from the Department of Homeland Security National on our website, www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. Please remember, we're posting tons of updates there. It is for free. But those essentials, a lot of what the governor said is that he's not trying to stop the economy. If you have an office that can practice appropriate social distancing, if you can treat it like home, no gatherings of 10 or less, keep your common surfaces disinfected, they're going to allow you to continue to go through business, but they are asking that you try to work from home. As you can see here, I am at home. So, trying to limit exposure to others, because you just never know where they've been. So it kind of goes the opposite way, right? So the growth of a disease, or a virus in this case, is exponential. One person gives it to 2 or maybe even 3. Those 3 then give it to 9. So, I mean, you can see where, like, if you give it to 10 people, then those 10 people give it to 100 people. So you have to remember that this stuff grows exponentially, but that goes the other way too. So when you're working with somebody, you have to remember that they could have gone home where, let's say you work with a lady. She could have gone home to her husband, who had then been at a job site with 50 other people. Who knows where those 50 people have been? And who knows, and who knows where the 50 people that are closest related to them have been. So you see, it can funnel back to you. So it goes both ways. So it's important for you to protect yourself, especially here during this time. The stay-at-home order lasts until April 12th. We're going to be doing our best to keep you guys updated about businesses that are still running. Of course, restaurants that are providing drive-through services and to-go food. Try to help them out. There are a lot of restaurants that have gone ahead and shuttered up, a lot of businesses that have gone ahead and shuttered up, especially large-scale retail, which are closed unless they are providing essential medical goods, which as of right now, there are a lot of them that are not. So please keep that in mind. Of course, I want to take a step back and talk about those numbers real quick. I sort of touched on it, but trying to put some perspective on that. Like for instance, when we say 5 cases in Livingston Parish, we don't know where these people live. That would be a HIPAA violation. We don't know who they are. We just know that they live here. They tested positive. Who knows? We don't know where they live. There are probably more than 5. That number will probably continue to grow. One of the things that we're looking at is trying to get with Our Lady of the Lake, Auctioner, North Oaks, those kinds of people, to see what kind of capacity they have, because that's the real problem. That's when we get into trouble. And we're kind of pathing with Italy. We actually surpassed Italy in terms of the number of cases per day that pop up. We are 2 weeks behind them in terms of timeline. Now they're starting to flatten out, not get as many new cases per day, which is a good thing. But we're looking at, excuse me, but we're looking at outpacing them. So the big deal here is you have to remember, we've got to flatten that curve. Now, what does that mean? Flattening the curve means that we are trying to spread this out over as much time as possible so that the hospitals can deal with the number of cases that are going to come through. Right now, one of the things you have to remember, and this is a good comparison, Italy had health infrastructure for 60 million people, and in several large cities and including some suburban areas, the hospitals were overwhelmed with COVID-19 cases because there are people that get very sick. And there are people that need intensive treatment in the intensive care unit. They might even need ventilators. Those were the things that ran out quick. You may hear them mentioned a lot. Here we have, in Louisiana, we are outpacing Italy, and we have the health infrastructure for 4 million people. So please, please, please keep that in mind. For every 1 person in Louisiana, there are 15 in Italy. And we have the health infrastructure for 4 million. So we have to remember that we have to spread this out over as far a distance as possible so that people can have the health care available to them to get over this thing. And yes, some of the older folks that have gotten sick earlier have gotten over it. Some folks haven't. Please remember, we've had 34 deaths just so far in 2 weeks from this thing really taking off here in Louisiana. So please remember, we're not out of the woods yet. April 12th is when the stay-at-home order ends. Please try to keep an eye on businesses that might stay open. If you are a business that stays open, please remember you practice appropriate social distancing. You have no idea where your coworkers have been. And please remember to use those restaurants that are trying to stay open and those businesses that are trying to stay open during this time. The governor did have a show yesterday. We mentioned that. It was on LPB. It was an hour. A lot of information that wasn't new. However, there was one piece of information, and it is a piece of, I guess you can say, bad news. Usually, on a week-to-week basis, about 1,500 to 2,000 people are seeking unemployment benefits, according to the Louisiana Workforce Commission Secretary Ava Dejoie. That number surged to 71,000. Now that's in lieu of a lot of these closures or temporary closings because of the coronavirus. That number they expect to grow. That's now you're maxed out at about $247 a week, depending on what you made before you were unemployed. That's roughly $15 million a week in unemployment benefit. So please remember, there are a lot of people out there that are affected by this. They were affected immediately, and they're going to be looking for ways to make ends meet over the next month until April 12th, or 3 weeks from now, when April 12th comes and hopefully the stay-at-home order is released. Folks can try to get back to work. These places can reopen. The governor's show, as mentioned, was about an hour. They discussed everything from healthcare. One of the things that they did talk about was a drug called Plaquenil. This is used for folks that go to Africa to stave off malaria. But in local terms, it's a drug that's used for rheumatological purposes, which is, if you're interested in what rheumatological diseases are, they're autoimmune diseases. You might have heard of them. Rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, multiple sclerosis. Those are all rheumatological issues. They are autoimmune issues. So there's a lot of talk that this could work. Right now, according to the doctor on the show, that's more theory than it is actual fact. They haven't had enough tests for it yet. They're asking the people not self-medicate. They're looking into this. That would be healthcare professionals. But as of right now, long-term sort of acute care with things like ventilators and trying to address the symptoms is the best they can do at the moment. Of course, we learned on Sunday that in order to be cleared for a positive test, so to say that you have gotten over coronavirus, you have to have 2 negative tests. The reason for that is this is a virus. It can mutate, and you can get it again. There was a lot of reports, especially in Asia early on, where folks were leaving the hospital symptom-free and testing negative, and then they were back in it the next week because they got a different strain of it. So please remember, you only got to test positive once to get into the hospital, but you got to test negative twice to get out. Louisiana Association of Business and Industry, or LABI, as some people might know them by their little code name, had a conference call yesterday with the Small Business Administration, or the SBA, to talk about SBA disaster loans in this time period. Now, one of the things that a lot of people, especially in Livingston Parish, are immediately going to go, no, don't want that, don't want to hit that duplication of benefits problem, just in case grant money comes out later. Congressman Garrett Graves is already working on duplication of benefit, having that stricken from the books. So at the very least, grant money that comes through later can just be used to pay for and get rid of the loan that you take. Of course, getting these loans takes time as well. It's 30 to 45 days from a completed packet. You're looking at $2 million total. That's the max that they're going to dole out for these things. 2.75% for nonprofit, 3.75% for for-profit businesses. You're looking at maximum of 6 months of working capital. Now, what goes under working capital? Those are things like payroll and getting your accounts payable done. If you have a mortgage on your building or you got to pay rent, those don't count. But you're looking at monthly expenses. They're looking at you to try to keep your bills paid, keep your folks employed. There is talk of loans where if you do not lay folks off, if you can keep people employed, they will forgive the loan. That's part of a larger package that's still going back and forth in the Senate. Still haven't gotten that passed yet. We're going to be keeping a close eye on that one. But again, SBA, you can check out the full write-up on our website, www.livingstonparishnewscom/coronavirus. There is also a link there to apply. Of course, they're getting the duplication of benefits clause removed, so it is a good idea to go ahead and apply. That way, if you decide you don't want it, you can at least decline it. But again, it takes a while to process and compile all the paperwork, get it to the SBA, and again, it's 30 to 45 days to deliver the money from a completed packet. So if you're looking for that money, the best thing you can do is get that done as quickly as possible. The news has reached out to the Washington delegation. That would be our Washington delegation, which would be Congressman Garrett Graves, Senator Bill Cassidy, as well as Senator John Kennedy. asking for special considerations for communities that have recently gone through disasters within the past 5 years or so. As a lot of folks know, there are plenty of businesses here that have still not recovered from the flood or are still working through finding that new normal. A lot of them probably will not exist if coronavirus continues to hang around. So, we reached out on behalf of the community, try to see if we can't get something worked into a bill, maybe for lower interest rates on SBA loans, more availability of forgivable grant loans, that sort of thing. So please keep an eye on that. The courthouse, we touched base with a lot of folks yesterday from the courthouse. The clerk of court is open on a minimal scale. Normally, he has 50 employees. In order to practice safe social distancing, you're only looking at 8 employees in there at any given time. They are open for 2 shifts, 8 to 12, and then 1 to 5. The 8 to 12 shift will take any kind of emergency filing that needs to happen. Those are restraining orders, child protective orders, that sort of thing. Otherwise, you will be turned away at the courthouse door. They will take e-filings as well. The clerk of court, Jason Harris, said he is not going to stop the real estate market here. He's going to keep working through all that. So please keep that in mind. You can still make a real estate transaction as of right now. Sheriff Jason Arndt is in the same boat. His office is closed. However, his phone number is active. You can still call. Of course, you can still call 911. Administratively, they're just running a skeleton crew in order to practice safe social distancing. According to the sheriff, hasn't gotten many calls about businesses that should be closed and are not. One of the calls they responded to, the business was technically open, but they were serving food through a drive-through line. They weren't technically letting people in. So if you do have a problem, if you do see something like that, if you do see any kind of criminal activity, of course, you can call the sheriff's number. We also do have some updated court dates for those that had court dates here late in March. We have updated dates for you at www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. Please go check those out. There are some dates that do not have a new date yet. You can call the court secretary. She should be at work to try to see when that new date will be. That phone number is on our website. And a lot of this will be in our paper edition this Thursday. The mail, of course, will continue to run. A statement was released on Sunday by the United States Postal Service saying that the Surgeon General said that it was healthcare officials' belief that there wasn't a high chance of the virus being passed through the mail. It doesn't survive long enough on paper products and that sort of thing to have any kind of effect. However, the post office is adjusting logistics and sanitation practices to be sure that that never becomes the case, but the mail will still be running for those of you who are curious. The city of Walker released a statement yesterday, and it's very important during this time. They know that toilet paper is at a premium. However, the city of Walker is heavily reliant on what are called gravity sewer lines, which means the natural flow of water is what pushes biodegradable toilet paper and human waste down the lines. If you put in things like wet wipes, paper towels, that sort of thing, the lines tend to get backed up and they can flood back into homes or into yards. So they're asking folks to not flush down anything but your own waste as well as toilet paper. The city of Denham Springs and the parish's sewer systems asked the same thing. While some of them, while both Denham and the parish have force mains, a force main pushes sewer using hydrologic pressure. They do rely on a lot of gravity lines as well. So please only flush human waste and toilet paper. Reminder that schools are now officially closed because of the stay-at-home order. You can still call the schools. You might want to reach out to your teachers individually via email to continue that educational instruction. They will be working from home. Of course, school meal sites will be closed as of now. Want to remind folks that we do have a story up, www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus, which talks about Mr. David Gray went and talked to 9 seniors from all of the different high schools, starting their high school careers off with the flood and ending it with the coronavirus. Now, they may still go back to school to graduate, I mean, everybody's saying graduations are going to happen around the state, but they may still go back for a few weeks. But it's hard to tell a kid, especially when you're not ending your senior year with any kind of testing or any kind of, it's just a different kind of situation. And it's hard for these kids. They're trying to work through it as best as they can, but they started off with a disaster and now they're ending with another one. So right now, schools are expected to return in Livingston Parish April 20th. They'll still be recognizing spring break, but that'll only give those seniors about 2 more weeks on campus. So please keep them in your thoughts as they move forward and try to see what graduation this year is going to look like. Finally, last but certainly not least, the Arts Council of Livingston Parish is collecting healthcare masks. They're looking to pass those out and donate them. You can find the Arts Council on Google. Their address is on Hummel Street behind the Denham Springs City Hall. Speaking of Denham Springs, tomorrow we're going to be discussing a lot of the city and parish services that are going to remain intact, what you can do. And then, of course, Thursday's feature in the paper is going to be talking about how these cities and governments plan to move forward with meeting. That includes them at they at the state capitol trying to get a budget out. One last time with your traffic. Well, let me say one more time. We're at 1,172 cases in Louisiana, 34 deaths, 5 cases in Livingston Parish, 41 out of 64 parishes. One last time with your traffic, you're looking at delays at 190 4H Club Road and River Road. You're also looking at delays at Vincent Road and Pete's Highway, as well as Jubin Road and 190. It's currently 71 degrees. 84 degrees is your high, 67 your overnight low. One last time, my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us this morning for the Livingston Parish News Morning Show. Please remember we upload these shows to www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We are on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube once a week in print. We are also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. We have an app to go with that. Please remember we are updating the website as often as we can, www.livingstonparishnews.com/coronavirus. If a lot of this is overwhelming and you don't like to consume it as it comes out, recommend you go there when you have some time, sift through those stories. We're trying to keep things updated as quickly as possible, as this is a very fluid situation. A lot of folks' circumstances change on a day-to-day basis. That includes schools, government, local cities, businesses, that sort of thing. So we ask you to visit that, see how this thing is changing and adjusting on a day-by-day basis as we all work through it together. And remember what Coach Ed Ogeron said, stick to the game plan. We're gonna get through this. So we are, in fact, all in this together. Hope you have a great day. Please stay safe. Please practice social distancing, and please practice those mitigation things within your household. 10 people or less, disinfecting common surfaces, washing your hands for 20 seconds or more with soap and water, and sneeze or cough into your elbow. Please have a great day. We will see you tomorrow morning.